Hey guys, Super Retrocade here. So I thought I'd do a video about a new optical drive emulator that came out for the Sega Dreamcast and the Sega Saturn. This is the MODE, the multi-optical disc emulator by Terraonion. And I actually got this in the mail a few weeks ago, but I've been kind of holding off to do a video until I kind of learned a little more about it. So this optical drive emulator is about $200, and just so you kind of understand, what kind of climate it's in, there's two competing optical drive emulators for the Dreamcast. I'm going to be talking about the Dreamcast because I don't have a Sega Saturn. I don't really know much about the Sega Saturn. I know for people who bought this for the Sega Saturn, it's like a definite win because Sega Saturn optical drive emulators are so scarce that this is the first widely available one. So if you're into the Sega Saturn, you definitely want one of these. But I was looking to get one of these for the Dreamcast, and so there's two competing products for the Dreamcast to this. There's the USB GD-ROM, which is what I previously had in this unit, and then there's also the GDMU, which is a SD card based optical drive emulator, and both of them are like $200 to $300, and this one's about $200. And and there's also another thing you can get, which is if you go on AliExpress, you can get a knockoff of the GDMU, which works perfectly and is only like $60. But the thing with that is you don't get any firmware updates. And one of the coolest things about the MODE in comparison to all the other options is that there's going to be a lot of firmware updates and a lot of development and stuff going into this moving forward, which is kind of the coolest part about this, is that it's kind of something that's going to be supported and get updates moving forward. So I bought the MODE, and one of the things that's really cool about the MODE is the MODE has a a cover flow, like when you're in the menus, you can view album art and stuff, which is really cool about the MODE because you're able to do that on the GDMU, but you're not able to do it with all the games. You're able to do it with GDI games, but not CDI games, at least as far as I can tell. And then the USB GD-ROM is strictly a menu. So one of the big things for me about this initially was just getting the cover art stuff. So this unboxing is going to be a little different because I've actually already unboxed it. So I actually have in here, this is my USB GD-ROM. So previously in this black Dreamcast I have here, this is a black Sega Sports Edition Sega Dreamcast. I had a USB GD-ROM with this 3D printed insert by Laser Bear Industries or Greg Cullingle, where I would use a USB drive, and this was a pretty sweet setup, and it it does the lid switch and everything. But I wasn't sure whether or not I wanted to switch from this to the MODE or not, and I still haven't sold this, so that kind of gives you an indicator of where I'm at with it. So in the box, when I originally got the MODE, it came with a little instruction thing that says, hey, go to our website and download the manual. The manual's constantly changing. Then it has this cable, which is used for if you're installing it in the Sega Saturn. And then it came with some screws and some feet with double-sided sticky tape on the bottom of them. But I've already actually installed it in my Dreamcast because I've been using it for a little bit. So I'll just kind of show you the way that you get a Dreamcast open is you take off the 56K modem, you undo the 4 screws, and then with the MODE in here, you don't have to worry about the lid switch. If you have something like the original GD-ROM with the lid switch, or if you have the USB GD-ROM with the lid switch, you want to have it open when you open it up. So that's just what I do out of habit. So right here is the mode. So installing the mode is pretty easy. So the way that you install the mode is you just take out the original USB GD-ROM, and then you use these little feet, which isn't the greatest way of doing this, but yeah, it comes with a bunch of these little standoffs with double-sided sticky tape. So what you do is you just position those, and then you line up the optical drive connector, and you just push it down, and then that's all there is to it. And then what I'm currently doing is I just took the USB stick. This is a 512 gig USB stick that I was using with my USB GD-ROM, and I just put the firmware for the mode on there, and I'm gonna pause it for a quick second. Okay, sorry guys, I just wanted to cover up my serial number on here real quick. I've already got it registered for support. So that's one of the things you do, is you go to Terraonion's website and you register your serial number so that you can get firmware updates and stuff moving forward. But I use those standoffs, and then I line up the cartridge connector, and you just put it in there. And if you guys know anything about, you know, Dreamcast and the different various mods you can do, I have the original power supply in here. So there's people who put Pico power supplies in here. There's people who have the original power supplies. There's people who remove the 12 volt regulator on the original power supply when they put in the optical drive emulator. And this, the Terraonion mode is supposed to work with any of those configurations. So like here, I have essentially a stock Dreamcast power supply that I recapped, and it works perfect without any problem with having too much voltage on the 12 volt rail or anything. So one of the cool things about the mode is it lets you use a SATA hard drive, or it lets you use a USB drive, or you can even use a micro SD card. And I was originally going to put a 1 terabyte SSD in here. But the thing that I ran into is the way that you install a 1 terabyte SSD is you put it in here, and then you screw down to these screw posts. And right now, since this is so early on, they don't support any way of like taking an SD card or taking a USB drive and like having the games or whatever transferred to your SATA drive in there. So the only way to get like firmware updates or new games on here or anything is to take it apart like I have it now, pull the SATA drive out, hook it up to a computer, put the files on, put it back in, and I just don't want to do that. So what I've done right now is I've just been doing USB. But what I'm really waiting for, because if I put this back together, you'll kind of see it here. So if I put this back together, you can't even get to the USB. So like I have a little USB stick in there, and you probably can't see it because of the lighting, but it's so far back there that I can't even get it out. So I mean, I can get to like the buttons for like ejecting and stuff, to like if you're doing like multi-disc games and stuff, but I can't get the thumb drive out of there unless I actually take the top off it. So right now everyone's just kind of waiting, because it's so early on with this. Everyone's just kind of waiting for Greg Collingall, the guy from laserbear.net, to come up with some 3D printed solutions. I don't know if he's going to do like a USB adapter that relocates it so it's like pointing this way, or I don't know if he's going to come out with a SD adapter so that you can use a big SD card, or you know what the different solutions are. And he might come out with I've kind of seen some of his early renderings, and it looks like he's coming out with like a base that's gonna replace these sticky feet, so that it actually like screws into the original screw posts inside the Dreamcast. So everyone's just kind of waiting on that right now. So right now I'm just gonna put this Dreamcast back together. So I mean, it is very early with this, and you know, one of the things I was waiting on was the cover art stuff. When I originally received this, they didn't have any support for the cover art or for the album art, because they actually have like a team of people who are compiling all that artwork right now. And since there's no Wi-Fi connectivity or anything with this optical drive emulator, what you actually end up doing is downloading a file, and then you place that file on the root of your device, whether you're using USB or an SD card or a SATA hard drive, and then you have it scan your library, and then it'll populate all album art. So that's kind of a work in progress right now too. So there's kind of a lot of things about this that are in their infancy, but it's cool that you can buy it now and it's not that expensive compared to its competitors, or it's at least in line with its competitors. And its performance is pretty great, and its versatility is pretty great. If you know, none of the other solutions allow you to put like a solid state hard drive in it. So the next thing I'm going to do is hook this up and kind of show you the menus and stuff. But another thing I got here was, there's another company that sells Dreamcast stuff. This is the Behar brothers, and they have the Akura. And if you've been watching my channel, you've seen me use the Akura in the past. And what the Akura is it is a HDMI adapter for the Dreamcast. So, you know, I have other Dreamcasts that are HDMI modded with DC digital or DC HDMI. But what this does is this lets you take the VGA signal out of the back of the analog VGA signal out of the back of the Dreamcast, and it allows you to output it over HDMI. And there's different things like, you know, scan line generator and this and that. And one of the interesting things about this is I used to have a bunch of Behar Brothers products that I got rid of over time, and my biggest issue with them was always the connector on these cables, because they'd make these cables pretty long, and then if you bent them, it would screw them up. So the Behar Brothers actually designed a new connector here, because so many people had issues with this. So now they've got this, I don't know what you would call it, but they have this different kind of rounded connector here, and hopefully that holds up better over time. Another thing they started doing was they started allowing you to buy the cables individually through their website. They had a limit of I could only buy one spare one, but I went ahead and bought a spare one. So that's how I'm going to be showing you footage of the mode in a second. So I'm gonna go hook everything up, and then I'll show you what the mode can do. Okay, so what I have here is I have my Dreamcast with the mode in it, connected to the Behar Bros Akura, which will take the signal from the Dreamcast, turn it into 480p. And then I have the M Classic by Mercedes, which will be upscaling that to 1080p and doing a smoothing effect. And then I have it hooked up to my HD TV. So I'm going to turn my Dreamcast on. And this is the mode booting up into its menu. So I'm just gonna move the tripod to get you kind of more on axis. There we go. So at this point we're in the modes menu, and right now we're in list view. So right now what we can do is we can hit X, and one of the cool things is on the VMU right now, on the screen it says mode on the controller, which is pretty cool. So I hit Y, and it'll switch between different devices. So it'll switch between like SD card and SATA and USB if you hit Y to go to devices, but right now I'm just USB. And then if I hit X to go into options, you can choose whether the mode will do region patching for you, or whether it'll VGA patch games that aren't meant to do VGA, or you can choose whether or not it will, you know, emulate the CD-ROM seeking times and stuff if that screwed up some game for some reason. And then you can choose whether you go directly into a game or you boot to the menu. And then reset output signal. I honestly don't know what that does. Then here you can boot to a BIOS menu if you wanted to go into the regular Dreamcast menu in order to like manage your saves on your VMU or something. And then here you can go and check for updates. So if you place the update file on the root of the media, it'll go out here and it'll grab it and update it, which I've already done. And I'm not going to go to the version menu because that'll show my serial number again, and I don't want to do that. And then if I go to covers, I've copied the album art, the current database file for album art onto the root of my USB drive. So I do have a album art file, and what I'll show you is if I go in here, it takes a lot of this stuff but not everything, and I'm not sure if that's just me or my stuff, or if they haven't tagged enough stuff yet to get everything. Like I would think NBA Showtime would be a pretty common game. Then it looks like Blitz, I just have like this same album art, or does that one say? Yeah, I think all these pictures say 2001, but it's two different versions of Blitz. Yeah, so when you're in here, if you hold A, I think, you can bring up these menus so you can like add disc to queue if you have like a multi-game or a multi-disc game, and then you can do scan current folder and it'll go out to that database file and populate your album art. One of the things I thought I would show though, to kind of show how this seems like it's kind of in its infancy, is if I launch NBA Showtime, I found that the audio is kind of screwed up in NBA Showtime. Where I've played NBA Showtime on the GDMU and the USB GD-ROM, and I know there's no issues there. So I'm pretty sure that this is, you know, something that will, you know, need to be patched in the future, and hopefully, you know, buying an official product from Terraonion, you know, where you register your serial number for support and stuff. I mean, the nice part is there will probably be a patch for this game that fixes the audio. So I'll just kind of get in here and show you guys what it does. And I have updated my mode to the current firmware as of today, but this is still a very new product. And I don't know either, it may have something to do with my RIP here. Maybe if I had a different copy of NBA Showtime, it wouldn't do it. But I haven't had any issues with this one on any other system. I mean, on any of the other optical drive emulators. So if I choose See, and this kind of acting differently already, I think. Yeah, I think the game just locked up. Yeah, it did. So I'm not sure what the deal is. I'm not sure what the deal is with the mode and NBA Showtime. But the last time it let me play the game, or the last time I was able to play a game, but the audio was all crazy. This time it just froze. But I've played other games and not experienced any issues. I just want to try. Oh, see, and now it's got it. Oh, that was weird. See, that was kind of weird too. It was showing NBA Showtime as Marvel vs. Capcom 2. So let me try it again here. Yeah, so we have music at this point.
The Toronto Raptors, the Vancouver Grizzlies.
Yeah, see, this is what it.
Up against the Denver Nuggets. The Los Angeles Lakers.
This is what it did.
With the nice.
This is what it did before. Just kind of all kinds of crazy audio. But it actually let me play before, so I think it's gonna let me play. Yeah.
Shaquille O'Neal, Eddie Jones, Kobe Bryant.
See, but now in the game, there's just like no commentator. So I don't know if I'm gonna have to like re-rip my game and try it again, or maybe they'll come out with an update. Maybe there's something special about this game that screws it up. Maybe there's something it utilizes. Yeah, let's try Under Defeat, because Under Defeat is a Japanese game, so that'll kind of show the region patching. And I haven't tried playing Under Defeat yet, so it'll be interesting to see if it behaves like it should. I think it's under favorites. Do I have a shmups? Yeah, shmups. There it is, under defeat. See, and this is kind of cool too. When it does have album art, it'll tell you information about the game. See, and you can fast forward through that, which is kind of cool. I don't think you normally can. I thought there was a way to have the mode actually skip even showing it to you, but... Yeah, so this game's behaving normally. Yeah, and that slowdown is about what it should be. Yeah, so far I've only run into NBA Showtime not playing correctly. You know, it would be interesting too to play. Can't think of the name right now though, but there's that sequel to NBA Showtime where it's 3-on-3, and I wonder if that game has problems. Maybe we should try that. This will be kind of interesting to see if this game has problems since Showtime did. It would also be kind of curious to see if Blitz has problems, because that's another Midway game. Let's see if this 3-on-3 version. Yeah, NBA Hoops. But NBA Hoops actually has album art, so maybe it'll be okay. But you'd think if there's something about Showtime that they carried over to this game, you'd think this game would be broken too. I'll be a forward. Wonder what year these rosters are. Oh man. Yeah, so the audio stuff screwed up in this too. That's kind of interesting. Boy, is there no turbo? Oh, there's turbo. So this game's pretty sweet, but they kind of changed the controls a little bit, so. Okay, so this is Super Retrocade. That's the Mode Optical Drive Emulator by Terraonion. I would say if you are looking to set up a Dreamcast, there's probably two ways to go. Either you get the Mode and you know, for $200 and, you know, get future updates and are on the bleeding edge, or you probably get a GDMU clone for like $60, which you can update the firmware and this and that, and you know, preference is really up to you. Personally, I'm really into the Dreamcast, and I'm kind of excited to see what sort of 3D printed mounts and stuff come out by Laser Bear Industries. So I think the mode's pretty cool, and I'm sure it's only going to get better. I also have, you know, other Terraonion products, you know, like their Neo Geo flash cart for my MVS, and they make pretty solid, I think they make pretty solid stuff, and they support them well. So I definitely think that I definitely don't think you'll go wrong if you get a mode. And you know, another thing is the mode is probably the simplest to install out of any of the solutions, just as far as not having to worry about whether you have your 12-volt regulator, don't have your 12-volt regulator, or, you know, like with the USB GD-ROM, you gotta take the mounting bracket off the original GD-ROM and put it on there, and I don't know. I think there's a lot of benefits to the mode. If you want the best, you know, optical drive emulator going forward, I'd get the mode. Even though, as you've seen in this video, it's not perfect today, it's only going to get better. I think there's going to be a lot of development around this. So this is Super Retrocade. I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching.